Welcome to the Taproom Exclusive. I'm your host, Dean Zarbaugh. Today's show is sponsored by House of Helga. Are you a brewery looking for some vibrant, stunning artwork to slap on that freshly bottled or canned beer? Or maybe you're starting a brewery and need help coming up with a logo. If so, contact House of Helga for all your design needs. They've worked with Masthead, Streetside, and yours truly here at the Taproom Exclusive. You can check out Kyla's entire portfolio of incredible work at houseohelga.com. On today's show, I chat with Missing Falls Brewery's brewer and co-founder Marc Crnjak and co-founder Will Myers over their tasty Langered Irish Red Ale. But first, a taste of what's going on in the craft beer world with this week's Tasting Glass, brought to you by Northeast Ohio Craft Brewery News. The big news of the week is the acquisition of Founders Brewing Company by Mahou San Miguel. Founders sold a minority stake in the company to Mahou San Miguel in 2014 with a provision that after 5 years, Mahou San Miguel could then purchase up to 90% of Founders, with co-founders Mike Stevens and Dave Engbers each retaining a 5% share. What do you think of this move by Founders? Can they still categorize themselves as craft beer? Weigh in on the discussion at facebook.com/thetaproomexclusive. Rick Armon of the Akron Beacon Journal and Ohio.com served as judge for Cleveland's Oktoberfest microbrew competition. Of the participating breweries, this year's Best of Show went to Masthead's IPA, which also won the Best of the Rest category, with Noble Beast Oktoberfest being crowned Best of the German Styles. For a rundown of all the winners, check out Rick's article on Ohio.com. Marc Bona of Cleveland.com is reporting that Great Lakes Brewing Company will celebrate its 31st anniversary on Friday, September 6th. According to Marc, Great Lakes will mark their anniversary with a celebration of beer and baseball beginning at 5 p.m. Tribe drummer John Adams and Indians mascots Ketchup and Mustard are scheduled to attend. Specials include $3 Rally Drum Red Ale cans. The Indians Twins game will be aired on the big screen in the beer garden at 8 p.m. You can check it out at 2516 Market Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio. All right, my interview with Marc and Will from Missing Falls Brewery in Akron, Ohio is up next. Welcome to the Taproom Exclusive. I'm here in Akron at Missing Falls Brewery. First time here, really cool space. I am with Marc Crnjak and Will Myers. I appreciate you gentlemen taking the time to be here today. Talk a little bit about yourselves and how Missing Falls got started.
I started many years ago, around the year 2000, started as a home brewer, and then I just kind of kept upscaling from there and always wanted to open up like a small brew pub. But then, life got on and I just kept using it as a home hobby, and then I ended up meeting Will, and he wanted to learn how to brew, so we both hung out in my garage every weekend and made beer, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then eventually we had two other friends that were into the home brewing, and all four of us would make like collaboration beers. So that's when we kind of decided that we worked good as a team, and I shared with them my dreams of opening a brewery, and by that time Will already wanted to open the brewery, so we had sort of the business idea there, but not the plan. So from there on, we just sort of kept working on it, and it took a long time. It took about 3 years to turn the whole thing around to get the doors open.
And when did doors officially open here?
We opened on the day after Thanksgiving last year, which was November 24th. So we're just about 10 months old.
You're coming up on your 1 year soon. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
What made you choose this location as your...
Well, this wasn't the initial location. The first location, due to lack of better term of not knowing how to open a brewery, we rented.
Okay.
And we rented a space before we even decided if we could fit a working brewery in it. And it turned out the infrastructure wasn't there, the foundation wasn't there, the power wasn't there. It just had a lot of issues. But it came relatively inexpensive, so we pretty much had a storage unit for a year.
Okay.
While we worked on other things. This location here came to us just a little bit by word of mouth, and then we looked at numerous locations inside these complexes, but this one kept standing out to us, and it just seemed to be the one we wanted.
Well, my buddy Tyler and I rode down together today. This is our first, like I said, for our first time here. Both of us are really impressed. Like, you guys utilize the space very well here. There's, nothing's not used. Everything's being used perfectly. It's a really nice space. I didn't know what to expect. I haven't been down here. I'm not very used to Akron. I don't know how much space there is for stuff. Sometimes, there's a couple breweries in Cleveland that are pretty tiny. Yeah. I didn't know how tiny it was going to be, but this is a really nice space. How many people can you fit in here?
I think we got enough seating for what?
125.
About 125 for seating, and I'm sure we can cram some on the drink rails if they feel like standing.
Yeah. This is really cool. Doors open up, lets a lot of air and light in here.
Yeah, soon, eventually we'll get the patio out on this side. We're right now under construction on the front patio. So we got to just take it as we can. I mean, the whole plan is still there. Just we got done what we could get done, and now that we're up and running, we'll start saving our pennies and keep adding it back into the brewery.
Doing it naturally. You can't just throw everything in at once and hope everything's going to work. You got to grow naturally.
You got to work with the capital you have.
Absolutely. That's the way the most successful businesses run. So you guys are doing it right, and you guys are smart about it. And so we're talking about the Langered Red right now. This is the first beer I grabbed off the menu. I usually gravitate towards lagers, pilsners, first time I go to a place. And this is a really nice Irish Red Ale. This is probably one of my absolute favorite Irish Red Ales.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Like I said, it's this recipe here we've been making for quite a while. I actually just was scrolling through the old Untapped, seeing how far back the history went, and I found check-ins on this as a home brewer back around 2012 or 13.
Oh wow.
So we had the recipe kind of set solid back then. We just always made it because we loved it.
Is that a style you gravitate towards?
For me, it doesn't matter. I love beer. Some days I'll have a taste for a Hefe, so I'll get some Hefeweizen. Other days I'll want a stout. Most of the time it's going to be some IPAs. In the summertime. Wintertime I start getting more into the browns and the Alts and the the Marzens.
Absolutely, that's some of my favorite stuff too. Talk a little bit about this beer. You guys won the Ohio Craft Brewers Cup gold medal for this beer. Talk a little bit about that as well.
Well, yeah, that actually took us by surprise. I mean, we've entered a few contests here and there and a few competitions as home brewers, and never really got anything placed in any of them. And then this was, I think, our first big competition we entered. So we were surprised. Our other business partner, Sean, just sent us the link to the results sites and was like, oh my God. And we looked through it, and we not only took gold with Langered, but we also took the silver for our Imperial IPA Terror of the Seven Seas.
Oh, nice.
So it was humbling. It really surprised us. I mean, kind of validates why we got out of our garage and started up a small microbrewery here.
Absolutely, and it just goes to show how well you guys are doing. I mean, not even a year in the bank yet, and you guys are winning gold medals and silver medals and stuff. That's got to be awesome.
Yeah, it definitely is, and we're kind of hoping that lightning can strike twice with the Great American Beer Festival, but that's a bigger pool of entries.
It is, but out of all the Irish Red Ales I've had, this stands out.
Awesome.
So that is a recipe you're submitting to GABF this year?
Yes, that one's going down for
how does that process work, if you don't mind me asking?
You fill out the registration form, and then you got to send them down a set amount of fluid ounces per style.
Okay.
For the IPA styles, they may want a little bit more because it may go to different rounds of judging. For the smaller categories, there won't be so many rounds of judging.
Okay.
So we just pretty much sent the required amount. We just canned them up in crowlers, packaged them up, and there was a local brewery around here that was doing a collection, getting everything palletized so they can get it shipped out to Colorado.
Oh, nice. Very cool. I always hear about people submitting and stuff, but I've always wondered how you have to go about actually getting that out there, and it makes sense, crowlers.
Yeah, well, I figured it'd be a little bit safer than bottling.
Yeah, absolutely. You want it to get there.
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about the Langered and what the profile is on this beer and all that.
Well, this is primarily a really good malt-forward red ale with a touch of sweetness to it, and the Fuggle hops and the Kent Goldlings in there really balance out the hop notes really well, so it doesn't come off too strong of the hops. It finishes nice and clean, almost little touch of a lager in there, how clean it finishes.
Yeah. so you mentioned the sweetness on it. That I found a lot of times with this style, depending on who's making it, it can get a little too sweet. And this is just the nice, just that touch of little like caramely sweetness, I feel. Yeah. That just really kind of balances out those toasted bread flavors.
Yes, sir.
And so when you guys were coming up with this back originally, like, were you drinking this style at the time? What made you decide, okay, this is a style I'm going to do and pretty much do well?
Yeah, as a home brewer, you pretty much at the era we were doing it, everybody was just trying to make anything. Mm-hmm. So we were like, we haven't made a red, let's try to make a red. So we did some research, and we bought a few red beers, and we looked at a few other recipes, see what the structure was on it, and then get down on the recipe calculators and just start throwing different ingredients at it, kind of what you worked with before, and get it to where you want on the balance charts, and then do a little pilot brew and see what it's like. And then based on that, you can decide what you want to change. I'd say, I think with the Langered here, it may have had maybe one or two just slight changes to it.
Still just number 2, the second.
Yeah, but I mean, we also discovered. I know the first time we did it as home brewers, we immediately rushed it, cagged it, and it wasn't just wasn't the way it should have been. But we had a friend that kind of forgot about it in his fridge, so after about like 2 months, he tried it and says it was amazing. So
wow.
And I started realizing you're going to take a little bit more time with this.
You were just rushing actually like putting it in, like you were
as
excited to get it out.
Yeah, when we were homebrewing, we just kind of like, we're out of beer, we need more.
Get it kegged as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And that this is a style that if there's anything off, it's apparent pretty quickly. Like some styles you can hide behind hops and all that, but you can't in this style. And I'm just excited that I came into a place and an Irish Red was on the menu, just there, because not a lot of places even offer an Irish Red.
That'll be one of our staples. Should be on most of the time.
That's awesome, and to have that even as a staple, really, as somebody who loves malty beers, really warms my heart.
Traditionally, you only see those around the March, April months for the St. Pat's Day.
Absolutely, and I sell beer for a living, and a lot of times we get asked for like Killian's in it off season and stuff, and sometimes we don't always carry it off season. Nobody's really looking for it, but you give me the option, and I'm going to take the Irish Red almost every time.
Yeah, it's one of our better sellers here.
I'm probably going to take a crowler of this home because I can't speak highly enough about this beer. I'm a big IPA head. I love lagers and pilsners too, but this just stands out to me. I think it's just a really well balanced beer, and if you got a food menu here, if somebody wanted to eat, what would you recommend style food?
Oh, definitely have to pair it with our one pizza called the Will Special.
Ooh, what's the Will Special?
Well, I will let Will sit back down here and describe it to you. They want to know what the Will Special is because it pairs with the Langered.
It's like a white pizza base that we kind of spice up, put some pepperoni on or whatever toppings you want, and then top it with cheese, and we do a little bit of the red marinara on top.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, that pizza there sells also pretty well here.
Pizza and beer, it's a pretty great combo. When I'm drinking beer, I'm usually looking for some pizza. So I'm excited to try the pizza too. What was it that made you decide pizza was going to be part of the menu?
It's just something inherently that you can do in-house pretty quick. Just a few ingredients go a long way. Multiple combinations.
Yeah.
You can take one pizza and just get 3 different sauces for it and have 3 different pizzas.
Right.
So more of the price of convenience for that. We just had an idea of just like pizza and some deli press sandwiches, and now it's grown into all kinds of pizzas, sandwiches, wraps, appetizers. And we're going to have a lot more food items coming up here shortly, too.
Oh, nice. That'll be cool. And, expanding where you can, when you can. I love me a good pizza. Some of those deli sandwiches sound delicious. I mean, you got a nice, well-rounded menu, too, as far as food goes. Sometimes you see it's all focused on the beer. Sometimes the food menu's a little lacking. But you guys do knock it out of the park all the way around, man.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to get out about Missing Falls or the Langered? Maybe some story behind where'd the name come from?
The name's kind of funny. It's actually Irish slang.
Okay.
And just langered means to be just totally inebriated.
Okay.
Sloppy drunk.
Nice. And that's the
going out and getting langered.
Perfect name for this beer.
Definitely.
It's the perfect name for this beer, and it's 6%, so it's not super heavy, but it's not light either. It's got a nice body to it.
We're definitely thinking of making another version of Langered. It'll be on a collaboration coming up soon. But I think we're going to kind of make an imperial version and maybe barrel age it in some Irish whiskey barrels.
Ooh, that would be awesome. Keep me up to date on that, because I will drive down here to try that.
Yeah, definitely. The thought's out there now, so we got to do a couple little tests to see if it's going to work or not.
Absolutely. I don't know if I've ever seen an Irish red ale aged in Irish whiskey barrels. So that's something definitely different and something interesting. I can't wait to try to see how that turns out.
Awesome.
So, thank you guys so much for your time. Tune in next week for another episode here on the Taproom Exclusive at Missing Falls Brewery.